All right, it is 7 days to the kickoff of the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar. And of course, African teams, they have, some of them have released their 2026-man list finalists for the tournament. So we're just waiting for Tunisia and Ghana to reveal their last finalist for the tournament. Welcome to Adeli Kanda Naija Superfans Forum. My name is Oluwafemi Ashaolu. And today, finally, we got Kade back on the show. He'll be joining us about Zoom. Unfortunately, James will not be here. And like I said, it's 7 days. And a lot of things are still happening. Sadio Mane's injury is still causing ripples everywhere in Africa, because if you have the best player on the continent and the second best player in the world not going to the World Cup, of course, it will certainly cause worry to everyone, including FIFA. So, but today, as we usually do, let's get started in Ghana, where we'll be talking about the hotel accommodation for the Black Stars. Of course, that has been sorted. They will be camping in Doha. And of course, we'll be looking at a couple of things in Ghana. A supercomputer has predicted an early exit for the Black Stars in Qatar. So we'll be looking at that on the show today. And as well, we'll be going to Senegal, of course, where FIFA Secretary General, I'm talking about Fatma Samora, has urged Senegal to employ Africa Healing Powers to ensure that Sadio Mane will be going to the World Cup. And of course, you've seen the Senegalese list, the Senegal list, and the Mane is top of the list. So perhaps there is hope that that wonderful guy, former Liverpool player, Bayern Munich player, will be going to the World Cup. Kayode, welcome to our Daily Countdown and Naija Superfans Forum.
Thank you, Femi. Finally, it's a pleasure to be back.
Okay, so it is just 7 days now. Kayode, let's talk about the hotel accommodation for Ghana. And in 2 days' time, Kayode, finally, at least we were having a glimpse of the final set of players that Otto will be taking to the World Cup. I remember there's been a lot of issues that it should delay the list. But finally, it will be on the deadline, because FIFA gave all the countries 14th November to reveal their list. So I'm sure on Monday we'll be knowing who will be going through the World Cup. But let's get it started. At the DoubleTree by Hilton Doha downtown, at the DoubleTree by Hilton Doha Downtown Hotel. Wonderful hotel. I saw the pictures. That is where the Black Stars will be camping in Doha for all their games in Qatar. Of course, against Senegal, and of course, subsequently against Uruguay and South Korea. But Kayode, let's look at supercomputer has predicted an early exit for Ghana. I wouldn't be surprised with this, because if you look at their last two warm-up games against Brazil, and of course the other one they lost 1-0, wasn't very impressive. Maybe it is on the basis of that, or Ghana is the lowest ranked team that will be going to this World Cup. Kayode, could all these factors must have informed this early prediction for the Black Stars? What do you think?
I'm happy you use the word prediction, which is actually not a science. And you know, the funny thing is, even where football is not a science, it's not an exact science. So you cannot predict with exactitude that this team is going to beat this team, or this team is going to go out in this round or that round. All African teams to the World Cup, nobody has ever given us any chance. Femi, you do not share in the euphoria of those who say two African teams will play in the World Cup final, or Ghana will get to the final, or whatever. But what I'm telling you is, nobody can sit where you and I are sitting now and tell me, and I will believe, that one team is going to crash out in the first round, or one team is going to go as far as the final. Until the hostilities start, Femi, in Qatar, nobody, I repeat, nobody should come and bamboozle me with one supercomputer somewhere or the other. The games will be played. Allow them to play their 3 games before you eliminate them. You cannot sit in your office with air condition and tell me that one computer has predicted based on what indices. What were the metrics that the computer used in determining who is going out and who is staying? Femi, we should not get caught up in this attempt, let me call it an attempt to water down the potentials of our teams. Nobody is sure. Nobody has won the cup yet, Femi. The cup is still up for grabs. Anybody can win it. So I'm not going to share that belief that Ghana is crashing out in the first round or whatever. Let's wait until the games actually start.
Okay, so Kyle, it is a supercomputer that was used by Opta Information, and it looked at it about how powerful the teams in how strong, I should say, how strong the teams in Group H are, and he said Portugal will most likely qualify as the top of the group. Then Uruguay and South Korea. Then of course, then Ghana to finish at the bottom of the group. And if you look at it, of course, Ghana will be playing Portugal first, which I think is quite tough. Then they'll be playing South Korea before playing Uruguay in the final group game. But Kyle, it is 12 days, 12 days to Ghana's first game against Portugal at the 974 Stadium in Qatar. Now, Richard Ofori is an injury, the major injury that's for Toado. He's the backup goalkeeper to Joe Walcott, and he's not looking good for him now because even this weekend, of course, he's been nominated for his club. He won't be playing in their league game. So, Kyle, what do you think? Of course, we had of course, Joe Walcott is not someone that is very prone to injury, but Richard Ofori has proven himself to be a viable backup for him. How worried do you think Ado would be right now, knowing that we all know that he's going to want to take him to the World Cup?
Well, Adam would be worried as it were because that's one player less that he would have wanted to take to the World Cup. But on the flip side, he will be happy that this is coming at this time, Femi. It is better it comes at this time so that where you can actually substitute players than for you to come after the players have been named and the list forwarded to FIFA. At that point, it might be difficult, or maybe a day to their first game, and they now have this kind of injuries. It will now become difficult to replace players. It is a sad thing. I feel personally sad for the player. I feel sad for Otuado that is not able to call on this player, and I feel sad for Ghana that one of their bright hopeful is not going to go to the World Cup. But for me, injuries are part of the game. You cannot rule that as long as you stand up, you lace your boot, it is possible for you to get injured. So that's what has happened now. But like I said, it's easy and it's possible to replace him now. The replacement is who we are not sure of, but at least they have that opportunity of replacing him. Imagine, just pause for a moment and think about if this were in the middle of the World Cup, when it's not possible to replace, what do you think Ghana would have done? So in a way, we should also be thankful that this is coming now, as unfortunate as it is.
Okay, so Richard Ofori will not be playing for Orlando Pirates this weekend against Kaiser Chiefs in their Carling Black Label Cup in South Africa. So we wish him all the best. We want the Black Stars to go to the World Cup with all their major players, particularly fingers are crossed. We are waiting for that 26th final man list because, of course, we already know the controversies, the outrage that news about the leaked list are generated already. Let's go to Senegal. I don't know how you felt. I'm sure you must have really felt bad, not only for Senegal but for Africa, when that news about Mane broke that he would not be going to the World Cup. But at least the statement from Bayern Munich gave a lot of us hope because they didn't just outrightly rule him out of the World Cup. And now Fatma Samora, of all people, has said that Senegal should employ African spiritual healing in order to take him to the World Cup. We've seen Egypt did it the last time with Mohamed Salah when he got injured in the Champions League final. They bundled him to the World Cup. And we saw England did it in 2002 when David Beckham got injured by that tackle from Duche in the Champions League. Do you think Senegal should also risk Mane, because though you know what that can cause, because if you take a key player that is not fit to the World Cup, it is much less like one critical space wasted.
Hey, for me, Femi, as the truth is, I do not know the extent of his injuries, so I cannot sit down and say whether he is fit or not. As long as the doctors pass him fit, then it's good to go. But the question is, which Mane are we going to get at the World Cup? Is it the Mane that will be short on confidence because of the recent injuries, or the Mane that is an all-action player who is not afraid to get into tackles and everything? Because of the injuries now, he is psychologically, how do I say this? Psychologically, he will feel like he will slow down because every attempt to tackle him, it will ring a bell in his head. Is this another injury? So the tackles that he would just, without thinking, put his legs into, put his body into before he will be cautious. Now he will not be able to do all of those. So we have to wait and see the kind of money that we're going to get. For me, we're injured or not, I want him to be on the team because him being with the players, even if he doesn't get to play, is a source of motivation. But if he's fit to play, fine. If he's not, I do not want him to be rushed because in doing that, we may be causing much more permanent injuries to the guy. Don't forget that there's the World Cup and there's his career to think about after the World Cup. If the club coaches and the national team coaches pass him fit, let him go, let him play.
Before we go, as a matter of fact, it seems that Samora has concluded because according to a statement by L'Equipe, she said we are going to use spiritual leaders. She was quoted as saying, I don't know if they're effective, but in this instance, we are going to use them anyway. We are hoping for miracles.
And those spiritual leaders, they've not been able to win the World Cup for Africa. I'm just
That's
asking.
always been your
I'm
stance.
just asking.
That's been your stance.
I'm just asking. I just want to ask whether those spiritual leaders have not, why they've not been able to win the World Cup for Africa. I don't know.
But you can't say because, of course, Samuel Eto'o has said that Cameroon will win the World Cup and they're going to play against Morocco in the final. And of course, Roger Milla has said this is looking like the best World Cup for Africa. But I'm not sure you do not share those sentiments.
Although, absolutely not. I do not. I don't know what Samuel Eto'o was smoking or drinking when he made that statement because it should be, when you make such categorical statements, it should be based on fact, based on logic, based on not just beer parlor talk. Before you could say you're sure Cameroon will play in the final against Morocco, on the basis of what? What have you seen about this Cameroon that we others outside the country cannot see? What have you seen about this Morocco that makes them special that you think they're going to beat everybody on their own side of the draw? Cameroon will beat everybody on their own side of the draw for the two of them to meet in the final. These are very, very flippant, unnecessary, irresponsible talk that I would think an administrator of this caliber will be careful in making, because in doing this, he's just setting himself up for mockery. Maybe that's what will happen at the end of the day. By the time they get kicked out, probably in the first round or whatever, people will remember a certain Samuel Eto'o saying something about playing in the final. So for me, it's not something to just worry my head about.
Okay, so for our listeners, of course, particularly, of course, we are talking about Shikani raised the question asking if we have a program for the World Cup. You know, you'll get the best right here on Nigeria Superfans. Of course, we have all the game previews for you. We have all the analysis. We have all the stats for all the African teams, and we're going to do many more, even more than that. So you can continue to stay with us right here on Nigeria Superfans Forum. As regards the 2022 World Cup, you are not going to miss anything. We assure you that. And of course, we've said that the Black Stars will be camping, of course, at the Downtree by Hilton Doha Downtown Hotel. I saw the hotel, very beautiful, world standard for the Black Stars. So since the JFA and the Ghanaian government have done enough to put everything together for the Black Stars, I think it's left for them to go there and put up a very good showing. Thank you, Kayode, for joining us on our
So it was a pleasure. See you tomorrow.
So to our fans around the world, wherever you are watching us from, thank you. Join us tomorrow. It will be 6 days to the kickoff of the tournament. So until tomorrow, you wouldn't want to miss it for anything because we'll be looking at a very, very interesting issue. And I'm sure you wouldn't want to miss it. So until tomorrow, we'll catch all of you. Bye for now.